All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Public Affairs on Peach. Today we are taking a look at addictions and how exactly they're treated and how you can overcome a dependency to drugs or alcohol. And that is what our next guest did. Her name is Kathy Shellman, and she is here with us in our studios. Kathy, good to have you here, and thank you for coming on and sharing your story. So take me back in your early 20s. You were a drinker.
I was a drinker, yeah. I didn't start till I was 22, but boy, I made up for lost time.
You did?
Yeah, and then I went into treatment in '88, spent a year in treatment, sober for 13 years in AA, had 3 babies in diapers, quit going to meetings because I thought, I've got all this time, I don't really need meetings like I used to. And then I got back on pain pills after some surgeries, and yeah.
When you got sober the first time and you went into treatment for a year, was it you that decided that you need to change you, or was it your family and the loved ones around you that said you need help?
It was my job.
It was your job?
Yes.
And what kind of impact did it have on your job before you went into recovery?
I was working as a nurse, and I was taking pain medicine from the hospital where I worked, and I got caught and sent to treatment. And so I was going to lose my job unless I got treatment, or I would not have gone. I mean, they had some heavy-duty leverage on me.
Was this the second time around?
First time.
This was the first time around.
Yes,
So
in '88.
In '88.
Mm-hmm.
And you were a nurse at that time?
Yes.
And pain pills is what kind of did you in?
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So you go get treatment. You're there for a year. You string together over a decade of sobriety. In the meantime, you have a family, right? You're kind of living life. Time starts to slip away. What was it that ended up, do you think, the reason why you ended up going and relapsing?
Well, I was so busy with 3 babies in diapers, for one thing, and on my thinking, it wasn't like, oh, I'm not an alcoholic. I knew I was an alcoholic and a drug addict, but I was like, I got 13 years. I don't need to go to meetings anymore like I used to. And next thing I knew, I wasn't going to any meetings. And my default is drunk and high. So it was inevitable that I would be back using again because I wasn't doing a program.
All right, so you started drinking and drugging again, right?
Yeah.
The second time around.
Pain pills.
Pain pills was this time. What were you doing to get those pain pills?
Oh, I was manipulating the system. I was doctor shopping. I was faking kidney stones because I do have a history of kidney stones. I had unnecessary surgical procedures. It was ugly.
All
Yeah.
to get pain medicine. All to get pain medicine.
Yes.
Why did you go back the second time? Was it this time family, or was it this time you?
No, it was my family again. I went and I did 2 weeks inpatient, and then I did outpatient. And I'm one of these people why MAR's so valuable for me, because apparently I need to be locked up for a period of time, because I only lasted 3 months after that first time, and I relapsed again on pain pills.
So you went to treatment for a couple of weeks.
A couple of weeks.
A couple of weeks,
yeah.
and then you're like, I'm out of here.
Well, no, I did outpatient. I was
did
doing
outpatient. Got
I
it.
was doing what I was supposed to do, but I didn't have enough sobriety under my belt. I'm somebody who has to stay sober long enough to want to be sober.
Right.
You know, and 3 months wasn't, 2 weeks inpatient wasn't enough.
So what happened after you were doing outpatient stuff, and then what happened?
Well, then I relapsed on pain pills again, and then I had to be sneakier this time because they were on to me. You know, my husband's got 25 years in the program. We met in the program, so he was kind of on to me. So it was a little harder. And eventually, he just said, look, you've got to get some help or I'm leaving, or basically you're out,
Right.
and I'm keeping the kids. And so I went to MAR, and I was able to stay there for 7 months. And it was so valuable to me to be out of my home environment with the kids and the husband.
How hard
and the
was
response.
that?
It was hard. It was hard because my kids were little. They were 7, 8, and 10. And it was like 1 minute I was there, next minute I was gone, and they didn't see me for 3 months.
It's old enough to know that something's not right, though.
Yes.
You're somebody who has a story of in and out of the rooms, relapses. The treatment that you got at MAR, and it's interesting to me that, did you like the separation of, the women from the men, to focus on you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's just so much that goes on, kind of subclinical paying attention and distraction. It's distraction, and it's another form of using to get all into the, oh, he's cute, or what, plus I was married, but
Right.
So it's a little different for me. But absolutely, you can be more real when you're just in a room full of women, I feel.
Yeah, and I know just from talking to other people that there are a lot of women's only meetings out there, and there are a lot of men's only recovery meetings out there as well, 12-step meetings. I guess what do you tell people when you share your story? What do you tell to the person who hasn't decided to get sober, but you looking at them and knowing their story or them kind of telling you their life experiences, how do you get them to kind of understand, or how do you get them to try meeting out, or to try your way of life, I guess?
Well, that's a good question. That's a big challenge too, because most people, I mean, there are very few people who just walk in tomorrow and go, I'm here, I want help, yay. You know, most people, like Kendall was saying, have to have some kind of external force. And you know, I work at I volunteer at the Women's Center. I volunteer in 3 groups a week, and I'm always telling them, it doesn't matter how you get here, as long as you're here, then eventually you can start staying sober for yourself. But if you're here because the courts send you, or your husband's threatening you, or your job's that's enough to get you here.
Right.
Once you're here and you stay long enough, like I was able to stay long enough to where I wanted to be sober again. And then it was for me.
Yeah,
you can't stay sober for someone else, but you can get sober for other reasons.
Yeah, and that's that was the real kicker right there, is that eventually you have to want to do it. It took your husband to say, listen, I will leave you and I will take your kids, and I'll take our kids.
Because I wouldn't have stopped otherwise.
Right, and that was kind of, as we learned, or I learned a new term today, raising the bottom.
Yes,
right? Raising the bottom for you, kind of fast forwarding it to you. Kathy, thank you for your time with us this morning. Thanks for sharing your story. I appreciate your honesty. All right, stay with us. We'll be right back to wrap up the show.